So, Justin, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to
Pleasure,
be here.
isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely amazing, actually. Punta Leste has been great. But really, thanks for spending the time. As your role as Vice President of Global Roundtable and obviously representing Rabobank on that board, just really excited to talk to you about, what do you see as the big things that are exciting you about this conference? And, what are the challenges for the beef industry moving forward?
There's a lot of things that are exciting. Let me start with the challenge. And I think the big challenge, Ian, is the supply chain. What we haven't had enough of yet is discussion around how do we make this work along the supply chain, because the alignment between producers, and we know we've got cow-calf guys and feeders with backgrounders in between sometimes, or feeders in between that may not necessarily see eye to eye. Rarely they see eye to eye with the packer. And what I don't hear enough of in the conversations here, and I think the challenge, and I'd flip it to say the opportunity, is actually finding ways to connect people along the supply chain and really think about sustainability in terms of getting the whole thing to work from one end of the chain to the other. We know what the technologies are, we know what the solutions are, we're getting better at that stuff, and that is quite exciting, by the way. But the implementation of those still depends on our ability to get the whole of the supply chain to work together in a more coordinated way. Not in an integrated way where you have to own every bit of it, but at least just going step by step and doing a better job of connecting everyone and aligning incentives.
No, I agree, obviously, and been focused a lot on that in terms of how do we get make it better for everyone. This isn't about an opportunity, and that drives sustainability. And so, when you think about sort of some of the optimism and the excitement that is certainly feel out of this conference, like, what are the things that are then exciting you about what's happening here?
I'd just pull out one thing that was said in a discussion yesterday, which I think is so simple and yet so powerful, and that is that the lowest cost way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, I'm just talking here now from a sustainability point of view, is improving animal health by ensuring that all cattle around the world are vaccinated against the diseases that we already know. Now, there's another range of possibilities there around whether we can develop and commercialize a vaccine that will reduce enteric methane emissions. But just improving animal health like that is the lowest cost form of abatement, not just in beef, not just in agri, in the whole of the world, right across every sector. I mean, very simple, just increase the level of vaccination, the vaccination rate, but very powerful because of the impact that that could have.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you start thinking about producers' world, obviously there's a lot of different dynamics by different country of what producers are doing. But we start to vaccinations is one, but if we start to think about, we had an amazing screening last night from Mark Lyons with World Without Cows. But if we think about what producers could be doing to actually implement change in their production systems, in what they're doing, like, what are some of the things you think they could either start with, move to, and go forward?
I think breeding. I think the breeding process, it may be about genetics, it may be about genomics, it may be about all of the above in a way, but actually just really starting to do more selection around traits which are going to reduce methane, and at the same time those traits and bringing forward those traits which are also good for improving the consistency of the eating quality. Not everyone's aiming for the top of the market, and that's right. It's not always about having the very best quality, but narrowing that range of outcomes, I think, is important. Consistency of supply. So I think breeding is one of them. That point about animal health, I think, is important as well. Animal health and welfare, the benefits from a sustainability point of view that you can get out of those, I think, is good. And then I think the third one, again, these are things that we probably violently agree on, is the measurement. Because if you don't have the baselines there, if you don't know what you're doing today, you don't have the data available, how can you disclose that? How can you benefit from what you're actually able to achieve there, Ian? So I think, for me, these are the three things that you can get on with. There's other stuff that we could talk about with feed additives, etc., which, have an impact on the rumen and therefore reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We can talk about the landscape and nature positive and regen and things like that. There are other things that you can move on to. But some of those things take more time to wrap your head around as to maybe I understand what the costs are.
Yeah.
Do I really understand what the benefits are today? These other things, the costs and the benefits, you can easily calculate in the context of your current business setup, and that's why I like them.
Well, and I think like we're seeing huge benefits to people who are driving sustainability, like just from a predictability of the animals that are being produced, the quality that comes out of it. Like this isn't a one versus the other scenario of like you have to, it's going to cost you money to be more sustainable. There's actually a profit benefit that we see, and I think one of the things that just to come back with what Mark Lyons said last night, I think it was, for me, that was quite powerful. It was a real calling card to the industry to be able to do things. So just be great to get your thoughts on that, and how important is communication in what we are doing as beef producers?
Well, I think there's an incredible dichotomy between, when we talk about communication. You get a group of beef producers, feeders in a room together, and they'll talk your ear off all night, right? You put them in front of a camera, you put them in front of a group of strangers, and they're the sort of blokes who'll have their hands deep in their pockets, and they'll kind of have their shoulders, slumped a little bit. It's not their natural space. It's not their natural communication piece. So we're great storytellers, but we're great storytellers within a safe environment where we don't feel that we're going to get attacked. When we start getting into uncertain territory, we don't really know who we're talking to. I think we become a little bit more cautious. And I think, therefore, the benefit of World Without Cows that we premiered here, a global premiere here last night in Punta del Este, is that it should give people more confidence to get out there and have those conversations with people, because what I think it done, again, very, very powerful and yet very simple. Just putting the data, putting the science in the background there, not in a strong way like you need to read this and let me tell you the facts, you've got it wrong, but just make sure that every comment that is made can be referenced back to a sort of point where you can say, oh, there's credibility in what people are saying. Very simple and yet very powerful.
And like some really interesting points, like the misconception that animal protein is a huge amount of percentage when it's around 5%, of the global industry. The opportunity that presents itself to learn from developed markets to take to developing markets when it comes to sort of Brazil and India being the largest one with cows as well. But I think the most powerful bit for me is just what cattle can do to help get root systems going and carbon sequestering. And I'm not sure what the most powerful bit for you on that was, but that really hit home of like cattle need to be part of the system and part of the solution.
It hit me in a similar way. I'd just simply say we are not better off in a world without cows. And I think that was very clear, whether your perspective is one of feeding the world, meeting the world's nutritional needs, people's nutritional needs, or whether it's about the planet and the planetary boundaries and sustaining the planet, we are not better off in a world without cows. And okay, maybe I was already sold on that before I saw it, but I thought the way that they brought all of those things together was very compelling, and I think it's a great story back out to the industry that we're part of here.
Yeah, great. Well, look, thank you very much. Good luck with the conference. Really appreciate all the work you're doing for GRSB. It's fantastic, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I believe in what we're doing at Breeder, and really happy to be playing a small part in that going forward.
Really good. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks.